Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thanks so much for watching again today. As you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at this do-it-yourself stuff. I'm just a girl who's figured out that there are a lot of things around the house and out in the yard and on my cars that I can do myself, and usually save myself both time and money. So hopefully you have now saved those things too. So the other day I was poking around under the hood of my car and I noticed that there was a large gaping hole in a place where there should not have been. So today we're going to be replacing the air bypass valve on a cold air intake. It's not nearly as intimidating as it sounds. So let's get started. So just as a matter of course, it's really not a bad idea to poke around under the hood of your car, truck, or SUV or whatever you have every couple of weeks, or at least once a month at minimum, because even if you don't know all that much about cars, you can still see if something is very much amiss, and you would be able to find out if something like this had happened. So I'm sure that you can understand my horror whenever I was looking around under my hood a couple days ago, and I saw this large disconnected area with, you can see the hole for that pipe down in there, and something that appears to be broken. And seeing as how this goes directly into the engine, let me move you so you can see that, and knowing where my cold air intake is, I could tell that this was part of the cold air intake and that my engine was breathing unfiltered air, which you do not want it to do because that means it'll suck up dirt and it can totally ruin your engine, or at the very least your injectors, and we don't want any of that stuff to happen. So what are we going to need today? Believe it or not, it's not that much stuff. We're going to need, of course, a new bypass valve for the cold air intake. We're going to need a little socket driver or socket wrench with the appropriately sized socket. In my case, it is a 5/16 inch socket. You might want to have a little towel or rag to wipe your hands on. And if you do not yet know the size of your air intake, then you will need a tape measure. So obviously the first thing that we want to do is get this mess off so that we can see what we're dealing with. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this elbow off of here also, because it'll help us in making our measurement if we don't already know what we're doing. So you just want to loosen these metal collars here. Let's see if I loosen that one enough. Looks like I did. Just in there good. And now we have the first part off. Now obviously it's this part which is broken. I'm going to go ahead and remove this too. Well, we don't need that anymore. And if you did not know the size of your pipe already, this would be the time. You would want to find this out, of course, before you got your new valve replacement part. But you just want to measure it. And so mine is a 3-inch, and they do come in a couple different sizes. I don't know that there's a standard size, but 3-inch seems to be pretty common. And then let me make sure that you can still see what I'm doing. I do not believe you can. I'm gonna go ahead and move you guys. Hopefully you don't get sick here. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take off the other part of this valve that had broken. Whoops. And the thing with these is that this, if you have a cold air intake, this is going to be the most likely part to break because it's plastic and it is at this curve and it's at this point that's going to get a lot of vibration even if everything's bolted down correctly. And so it's just unfortunate that this is the way these are made, and I guess every 4 years or so they're going to snap. So some very nice things about this piece. It has this little rubber piece that fits inside on either end. As far as I can tell, there is no difference in either side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert my pipe here into one side of this. So this piece, as we saw, it goes down in here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten up let me find where it is. I'm going to tighten up my hose clamp here while this piece is out. Obviously, you guys will have an easier time of it because you will not be trying to do this for a camera. And you want to tighten this reasonably well. Well, first of all, you don't want to put this pipe any further than the lip that is down in here. And actually, I don't think it's even possible. But also, you don't want to over tighten these hose clamps because it can cause extra stress on the rubber and cause it to break prematurely. So after I do this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this other piece. I'm going to set this, I'm going to set this down on the pipe in here. And I'm just going to work it down in there as best I can. I guess I'll go ahead and see if I can get these angled properly. And thankfully the rubber piece that holds the cold air intake here is still intact, so we're not having to replace that today. But sometimes you'll see it on yours if you will have a bolt and with a bit of rubber, and so sometimes that can have rotted away or come loose. This one is still in good shape. So all I'm doing now is exactly what I just showed you with attaching the bypass valve to that pipe, except that I'm doing it down here where you can't really see what I'm doing and I have no way of showing you. So once you've tightened this down to your lower pipe down here, the one that you couldn't see what I was doing, and I couldn't see what I was doing really for that matter, you want to go ahead and fit this back into the cold air intake pieces up here on top. There we go. And again, as you can see, we just have another hose clamp. Get that shoved all the way in there. It is helpful that, you know, this has some marks from age showing me where things sat. And with the bottom piece, I wiggled it as best I could to make sure that it was in there tightly. And after the first time that I take the car out and drive it, the first thing I'll do is to pop the hood and check and just make sure that everything is still in place. Nothing's come loose, you know, things like that. Go ahead and give that a little bit of a tighten too. So everything seems to be pretty solid now. So that's great. So that was super easy and super quick, right? I mean, something that wildly affects your engine and would make your car unable to run. It's really nice to be able to fix that yourself. The part was about $50. You know, I could have taken it and had somebody do it. They would have charged me a lot more for the part because they always upcharge the parts, and they also would have charged me for their time, right? Which I think that took 5 minutes, maybe less. So you may be asking, Tamara, why do I need to replace that bypass valve? Because it looks like a plastic piece of crap. And you know, I'd rather just replace it with another elbow, right? So that I don't have to do this again. Well, the thing is that whenever you have a cold air intake system, it has to have a bypass in case the filter, the main filter, gets wet or gets submerged in water. Now, am I going to take my car out whenever it's going to get submerged in water because the filter is literally like that far from the ground? No, probably not. But I do know that whenever it rains, it is really easy for that filter to get wet, and it makes it where the car has a hard time breathing, so to speak. So that bypass valve is actually really important. So I would recommend going ahead and changing it out to that rather than putting a solid piece in there. There's a reason why those things are designed the way they are, right? So I hope that helps you. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you so much to everybody who's already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do it. The button is located on that general side of the screen. I would very much appreciate it. And until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you again soon.